This is a video on how to remove and replace the rubber on a Porsche wiper blade. This wiper blade is from a 981 Boxster S 2013 model. I suspect that most cars made by Porsche of that era are going to be pretty much the same. The wiper replacements, one I've already replaced was this one here. The one I'm just about to put into the second one is this one there. I'm not sure if you can see the profile of those. They're a 6mm wide blade or rubber, and the metal blade will actually fit into that little top notch there. Those aren't exactly the same profile. I just got these off eBay. I've used them on lots of cars and they work perfectly well. They cost absolutely peanuts relative to what replacing the entire blade would cost. So to remove it, the first thing I want to do is remove this clip at the top. Or before we even start, we're going to get this off the car. There's a button on the top here. You're going to press that in, slide it slightly, about 1/2 centimetre, and then you're just going to remove the entire blade. Then we're going to remove this top piece here. All I'm going to do is on both sides, you can see that little knob there, this little thing will actually just unclip over the top of it, so I'm just going to get a small screwdriver, lift under there, on both sides, and then that whole thing will just pop off. Next, one of my wiper blades didn't have this sort of rubber cover here, and this one does. So once you get that top bit off, you can remove this. You're just going to get underneath and just gently pry that. It's got these little clips here which clip over the side of the blade, and you can just remove that. The next thing we're going to do is remove these things at the end. This is probably the hardest bit of the whole thing. The way I found is the best way to do it, because there's actually a couple of little clips that sort of sit up in here that need to be undone. All I'm going to do is just stick that little baby flathead screwdriver in there, and then just lever it over the top like that, nice and gently. And then once it comes over the top there, you should be able to just pull that off. Maybe do the other side as well. And there you go. As long as you get that one fully clear, that'll just pop straight off, and we're going to do that on both sides. The little clips that it's actually catching on are these little ones in here, and they actually clip onto that top bit there. So we're going to do both sides. One is a bit easier. And then once you've got that off, we need to remove this long piece here, and all we're going to do is just get our fingers underneath there and just run our fingernail, and that'll just unclip straight off. And now we've got the bare wiper blade with the rubber, as you can see, in the middle. The one thing that's holding it all on, if you look at one end will have a little thing that's actually got a couple of barbs in there that are sticking down into the rubber, and that's actually what's holding it on. The other side does not have that. So all we're going to do is get that small screwdriver, and I'm just going to gently lift that up like that, so you can see that that's now proud of the rubber, and I can just slide that straight out. What I'm now going to do is put the new one in. And what I'm going to do at this end, this is the way I do it, you can do it any way you like, but I'm going to put it about, that's only maybe 3 or 4 mil from the end, and now I'm going to push down on that barb thing to push it into place. It's pretty soft, so that just pushes straight down in there. And at the other end, I'm going to mark it to the correct length. So what I'm going to do is, I've just got a pen, and I'm going to look at where it just sits there naturally and come in about that 3 or 4 mil, just give that a mark. And now I'm just going to pull that because it'll stretch quite happily. Get some side cutters, do that, and that'll just slide into the right position. And now fitting it back together again is just the reverse. So the first thing I'm going to do is put on these covers. Now They are different sizes because, as it turns out, this thing in the middle isn't actually in the middle, it's actually slightly offset. So what I'm going to do is work out which side goes on which. What's important is because of the, like this aerofoil section here, where obviously this is at the front, so as the air comes this way, it's actually going to push this down. You need to make sure the orientation is correct. And the best way to do it is just do one of these at a time and just make sure they look the same. And so to actually put this thing on, they can be a little bit of a pain. What I'm going to do is this sort of a long section and a short section. I'm going to put the short section in and put that all the way on there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift up the other side. Now the best way I found is just get your fingernail underneath there. So it's lifted over the top and just run it along the length. And that'll just slot straight on there. And once that's in place, you can get the end pieces, and you're just going to slide those on the end, push them into place nice and firmly, give them a bit of a tug, make sure they're not going to come off. And then once that's in place, then I can put this one on here. You just have a look, there's some knobs in here, it'll tell you which way it needs to go on, as well as the shape of the sort of that aerofoil that goes over the top. So just going to clip those over the top. And so they're all clipped correctly underneath here, and then I can get this thing here and just push it over the top. And there you go, brand new wiper blades for your Porsche.